we are here to discuss after it's been about 3 days, I think, since Texas A&M's 41-40 win over the number 8 ranked Notre Dame. That's the first non-conference ranked road win since 1979. That's the first ranked road win since 2014. I remember that. I think that was the Kyle Allen game.
Kyle Allen game, yeah.
Yeah. I was telling someone the other day, I'm like, I remember that game like it was yesterday.
We're still coming down off of the high, Cameron.
Yeah, which is just, it's just crazy to me because I've had, one of the best. I was up all night pretty much. I was up till probably close to 2 in the morning doing recaps, doing everything all of us guys who cover A&M professionally were doing. But again, it was worth it because I can honestly say that through my 3 to 4 years of covering this program, that's the best one I've seen. Hands down, the most clutch way to end it. Obviously, we'll go through the pretty much every key play. But, my general takeaway was that, and we've been saying this on the show for a while, is that if you can accomplish one of the toughest and go on the road in South Bend where it's nearly impossible to win most of the time because Northern Illinois did it last year, kind of shocked them. But again, Notre Dame beat everybody by 40 points after that, after they beat A&M to open the 24 season in Kyle Field and made their way all the way to the playoffs, made their way to the national championship game, almost defeating Ohio State. So we were talking about a team that could have easily run over an A&M team that wasn't ready. Let's go. And that seemed like that was the case early on after the block punt that led to the touchdown. A&M kind of looked discombobulated a little bit. They didn't really have they didn't look like that confident team that we thought we saw pregame. And then I'm going to get you in a second because I want to get through every key play. I'm still kind of hyped up over this. It was a similar play that we saw against Florida last year. A little roll out to the left, and it was a dump off to the former speedy wide receiver. They had Cyrus Allen not playing in Cincinnati. That led to I believe it was a 70-yard touchdown against the Gators. Well, it was the same exact play to Texas A&M's transfer wide receiver from Mississippi State, Mario Craver, who, in my opinion, looks like the best player in the SEC right now, leading to a 72-yard touchdown to tie the game at 7. And we did not look back after that. They were off and running.
After that, your heart kind of went to another level of just like, wow, that was electric, right?
Yeah.
This 41-40 win at Notre Dame, it wasn't just like another road victory. It was a major statement. It's a program-defining moment, really.
Yeah.
So the Aggies just kind of stared down one of college football's biggest brands, at least entire history, and just kind of went into South Bend and just delivered. That's really how it bottoms out to. It just delivered. I think we do need to start off with the elite duo that is Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion, because they were incredible, right? I think that their combination of deep shots and kind of it's just a completely different attack than it was this past season.
Completely different. We didn't see anything like this last
season. No, we
didn't. And mainly, I think, and sorry to cut you off, but I think that has to do just with the level of athlete they had compared to last season. And that's nothing against Jabari Barber, Cyrus Allen, guys like that. But when you put Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver into this offense, and we had both been saying, I'd been saying it at Aggies Wire for probably right after both those guys got in there, really defending Colin Klein, is saying, look, he's got his guys now. Now he can open that playbook that we saw at Kansas State. And again, during his time at Kansas State as our OC, he still didn't have those type of games. But you saw some wrinkles there. You saw some wrinkles, especially when he had better quarterback play, and he did have some speedier guys on the outside. But now when you get to the best wide receivers, and especially someone like Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion was more established coming in. Mario Craver, there were unknowns there, right? It was like, freshman season at Mississippi State, was a known deep threat, had a great game versus Georgia. I think he had a bomb type touchdown on a deep pass, similar to the one he had against Utah State last week that Miles O'Neill threw him. And so you knew that deep speed, you knew that quickness. I want to be honest, we did not know that this is what we were going to get 3 games in because
no,
this
absolutely.
kid looks like a future NFL star at this
Well,
point.
the thing was with Mississippi last year going into year one under Levy was that they were a big widespread kind of offense. That's what they wanted to do with Shape, and it's kind of what they're doing now so they can spread out their run game. This specific offense is mainly just kind of compacting with that RPO to try and open up that run game. And that's what you saw is just it just gets these wide receivers open in little pockets, especially in zone. So when you have 2 wide receivers in Craver and Concepcion that combine for 289 yards, it's just momentum shifting play after momentum shifting play every single time. And it's just like after you get a 207 yard game for Mario Craver, it just felt like every single time you knew where the ball was going, and it was just a gut punch to Notre Dame's secondary every single time. And we had talked about it with Mike Chen, who's a great writer over with Notre Dame Wire, Fighting Irish Wire, and this was kind of the thing where how could these Aggie wide receivers match up against this secondary that under Notre Dame's past defensive coordinator last year compared to this year? How could they match up? And we really were like, how could Casey Concepcion match up with Leonard Moore? And we saw that kind of go back and forth throughout the night. Even with Leonard Moore coming off with interception, it was really Christian Gray against Mario Craver that was the big thing. And when Christian Gray was helped off the field with a little injury, they saw that, or the Aggies saw and just attacked that backup cornerback every single time. So what are your thoughts overall on just how the Aggies were able to attack that matchup?
I mean, it's great coaching. Mike Elko was named this week to the Dodd Coach of the Week, which makes sense because it was brilliant. I mean, he knew it. That's good coaching in a nutshell. Is that when you see one of your opposing defense's strengths go down, you attack, and Marcel Reed, who we can talk pretty much the entire show about the gutsiness, the progress we've seen in the pocket, staying in, not trying to bail out immediately if something doesn't come open, trying to get through his progressions. And he saw pressure coming his way. Granted, the A&M offensive line looked great in pass protection to allow a sack all game, which is otherworldly against a very stout Notre Dame defensive line. So that's another thing we can get to. But again, he just told his quarterback, and I guarantee Colin Klein is saying the same thing. We've got 2 of the best wide receivers in the country. Target that kid. Target that freshman cornerback out there for deep gains because we got to get chunk yards. Marcel Reed only completed, I think it was 17 of 37. That was a thing that I thought people talking about less accurate, but it doesn't matter because the game plan was explosive plays through the air. That's what they got. Almost every one of his 17 completions were explosive. For those who don't know, explosive plays were 20 yards or more. And both Casey Concepcion, I think Mario Cravers. So he ended up with 207 on the game. I think he averaged 29 yards per catch, which is just insane.
Yeah, that's just an insane number.
It's insane. And it's just, I mean, he's an elite separator, both him and KCR. I think it was the catch by Casey Concepcion near the goal line. That was just a perfect pass, kind of slowing down his progression, getting his feet under him and making that catch near the goal line from Marcel Reed. That's the thing. This offense is humming right now. And all we really cared about, and we'll get to the defense a little later, but all we really cared about in this game, and we knew that it could be a track race, right? I think both of us predicted a lower scoring game. I do know that Carter Carroll's gave him 24-7. I think he had like 34-31 at one point, it was something with the score, I think. Yeah. And
I think you got that exactly right.
I was like, see, he kind of knew something we didn't in a way, is that if, against 2 good teams, I still think Notre Dame is a pretty good team. I think they have a pretty good chance of going undefeated the rest of the way, personally. We'll see what happens. Because I will say kudos to CJ Carr. Had a great game. That's going to be a very good quarterback for them. He gave A&M's defense everything they could handle. But yeah, just my biggest takeaway from this offense is that Colin Klein has every piece in his toolkit to get this thing done, because he's got the quarterback with the swagger, who is not scared, who has improved. Like we said, we were waiting for these games to start so we could, so he could live up to that hype, because all we heard all offseason was that he's improved as a passer in the pocket. His accuracy is much better. Again, his accuracy wasn't great in this game, but he was making I mean, he's throwing dots, as the kids say. I mean, they were right. I mean, there were a couple overthrows, one to Casey that he extended for, which is pretty incredible. But that's going to happen in these games because you're playing under the lights in South Bend. And again, one of the toughest places in college football to play. I can tell you, I know a lot of people. My brother-in-law, his whole family went to Notre Dame. They're big Notre Dame people. They've told I have not been there personally, but they've told me how raucous it gets, how intimidating it is. I mean, the history there. And again, A&M just went in there, made mistakes early, and trusted that offense enough throughout the game to get this done because they have full trust in Marcel Reed and this receiving core to win anywhere. Not just Kyle Field, not just when your fans are in front of you, but go anywhere in the country, in the SEC, and get it done and fight to the very end.
Yeah, definitely a big fight. And everybody just are going to take to social media, as football fans will. I know that whether or not, flags were thrown or not, and the Aggies were heavily penalized throughout the night. The fact of the matter is they weren't thrown at the end of the day. So you tell you what, it's the age-old saying, you win some, you lose some. And this one, both teams had major chances to capitalize on things and did or didn't. And it just so happens that the Aggies were able to pull this one out on a spectacular, 4th and goal situation from the 12-yard line. So shout out
I had to wear the shirt today. I had to wear the shirt today. I try not to be that guy, but I had to do it. I had to do it. I wish I had a shirt of Nate Borkerker. I mean, there were the pictures even, and I was just so excited to use those. The great shots they got from the game from USA Today that we used for Aggies Wire, and I was just like, I was so happy with that kid. Like, that etched in program history forever, that catch. And the way he – so, I mean, setting it up, obviously, to go through it. So, you or I could do that, so I guess I'll kind of start. A&M is down 40-34, mainly because Tyler Buckner, who has been with Notre Dame for, I think, since I was an infant at this point, botched the snap on the extra point, picked it up, obviously former quarterback, tried to throw it. Obviously, there was nothing there. So this glimmer of hope when me and a lot of other people thought maybe this game's over, right? Maybe this was just the last gasp effort. Well, again, Texas A&M, their offense was just completely confident. We kind of saw during the Texas A&M media released the drive. I think it was yesterday, kind of showing the moments before. And I mean, you should see that sideline. They were all confident. They're like, you know what?
Yeah,
we can win this game now. And chunk gain. You get down to the goal line. A ton of penalties back them up. We'll get to the penalty that Notre Dame media and Terry McCauley are kind of whining about. I guess we'll have to mention it. But again, look, they call what they call. It was 4th and goal. They had to have a perfect play. We knew that it was most likely going to be a fade of some sort, trying to get a bigger receiver on the outside, one-on-one. Did not know it was going to be Nate, their transfer tight end from Nebraska. Not known for his receiving, more of a blocker, had a great game pass blocking. So that good for him on that. And I mean, Marcel Reed threw a perfect pass, veered to his left, threw a perfect pass on the left side of the end zone. It was one-on-one with Borker. I'm going to mess his name up all day. He was blinded by the lights. He said in the post game, didn't even see the ball coming until the final minutes where he put his hands up, got that thing, held on for dear life, got down. And I think everybody, all of us, were just like, I can't believe that just happened, because we trusted that Randy Bond was going to make that extra point, which he did. But that touchdown was historical. It was incredible. I loved it for him. A kid who was a 0-star recruit, essentially, was really a nobody in the transfer portal. I remember when they picked him up, nobody really batted on. They said, "Oh, just another blocking tight end." Nobody thought that he would be a part of one of the greatest plays in Texas A&M football history.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big signature Mike Elko win. Which, I mean, he has 3 top 10 wins in his first, I think 11 or 12 Power 4 games. Right? Is that the?
So are we going back to Duke?
Yes.
Because he defeated Notre Dame, I think, his first year.
Mm-hmm.
Duke. Yeah, and then you're right. If I can kind of count in my head, yeah.
I mean, Reed looks like a star. Klein has his offense clicking now with Le'Veon Moss almost back to. It looks like he's 95, if not 100% full form, and A&M now has balance on that offense to contend. Yes, there are things to clean up, but that's why you were able to kind of have these matchups to know exactly what you need to shore up. And with a bye this next week, you know what you're needing to do.
Yeah.
So, and you have 3 straight home games ahead, and the Aggies are now firmly tied with Georgia, Georgia, Vandy. I mean, all teams that are kind of undefeated so far. But I think their strength of resume so far has kind of exceeded expectations going into this season, and we're kind of ready to slate off the SEC play.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've said, and I think both of us agree that if they could get this done and do it in the fashion they did, because I would, if this was a game that was, a luck win or like a low scoring contest where, A&M's defense, or let's say, Notre Dame's offense was just struggling throughout the night. A&M got a couple lucky calls and it was a low scoring affair. I don't know if we'd be that confident coming out of it, right? Like, let's say their offense still looks stagnant and the wide receivers really aren't doing much against these cornerbacks. And you're kind of thinking, oh, well, they were just doing this against lesser competition. That wasn't the case at all. They're doing it against future NFL guys. And I think that every cornerback in the country wants a piece of Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion just to try to prove that they're good. Because if they shred them, if they shred everybody going forward, A&M's passing game is just going to become better and better because that Marcel Reed's just going to get more accurate. The confidence is just going to keep going and going up. They're returning, like you said, and we will be doing a deep dive about the Auburn game next week, hopefully with one of my fellow site editors at College Wires. But again, it just sets up perfectly because you get full rest this week. You start practice midweek next week. You're back in Kyle Field for 3 straight weeks. And then, you have these deep road tests but again, you passed the first test of the season and it was massive. I mean, that's the term to use, is massive, because you have checked so many boxes already. And we're going to get to the defense. Now, let's talk about the no call that Terry McCauley, former NFL ref, has been on social media throughout.
We don't even need. We could just skip.
We'll just say it. I just want to defend it. Is that they miss calls all the time, and if you watch the all 22 of that play, I guarantee 99% of refs would have missed that call because it just. I'm going to be honest. It just kind of happened like in all the brush of Marcel Reed veering left and all the blockers in front, and then just kind of that guy falling, and it kind of looks like I don't even know who it was. It was either Chase Basantis or it was
Basantis.
It was Basantis, kind of hugging his legs a little bit, looking like he was tackling him. But no, I'm sorry, nobody's going to see that, and that's why they didn't see it, because they see the obvious, and it's such a crucial play. And I'm going to be honest, I do like that Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame's head coach, kind of ignore all that. He's just like, look, we lost because of Y and Z. We didn't lose because of one no call. Doesn't make any sense. So that's my point. I'm not going to get into this. I just
think a lot of people just kind of, the stuff that happens in the third and fourth quarter is definitely more apparent than the stuff you could have cleaned up in the first. Right? Yeah, I think that's true for both teams. I think at the end of this game, a lot of A&M fans weren't even thinking about the block punt. Right? I don't think that's what was going through their heads. They were just worried about winning the game or not.
Yeah, because again, this was this was a team last year that was close a lot, right? Always so close, no cigar. But there's defensive lapses that did happen, and we're going to get to that in a second. Or just a lack of offense, lack of explosive offense. Those were the things that were keeping them back. We go back to the Texas game last year, losing 17-7. Well, you insert Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion and a more confident and experienced Marcel Reed in that, they're not losing to Texas. So that's the point, right? They've improved in the areas we wanted to see. Now let's get to the defense. Obviously, I don't want to harp on this because I think pre-show you and I were talking about this. We do believe that Mike Elko, who is now calling defensive plays, is going to clean things up. He was not a happy man. He threw a chair during I think it was the first half, just in anger of, I think it was the touchdown to Jeremiah Love. I forget. It was I think it was Jadarian Price's touchdown. I forget. It was one.
I think it was Jadarian Price's, but I think we definitely need to start off with the absolute positives from that game, even on defense. And I think a lot of
Yeah,
the time.
actually, no, you know what? That's a good idea because there's not a ton of negatives.
You and I are very much fans of PFF grades because they are very, very good at accurately reflecting what happened.
Yeah.
And the defensive line, they all graded very, very positively. I think we need to highlight Albert Regis first.
Yes.
And Tyler Onyedin, because I think interior defensive run stopping was tremendous. You saw a lot of the times that Notre Dame was running the ball with Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love, they had to bounce outside with these zone runs. And those were what they wanted to do. They wanted to get on the outside with the DBs and you saw it happen every single time that they would go on the outside, even with some mesh concepts. I mean, you saw a mesh concept where Jeremiah Love was wide open on a wheel route that just kind of took someone away. He had all this field.
Yeah.
All of the times that the defensive line was there, they have guys now that I don't think people at the start of the season were thinking of as, hey, you lost all these people that are NFL caliber. How are you going to get into that backfield? And I think on the outside with Cassius Howell, Deion Hayes, they've been able to get into that pass rush very, very effectively so far and cause pressure. Even with the one CJ Carr interception, that was just a whole lot of pass rush.
Just getting pressure in his face. And I mean, it starts up front. DJ Hicks, who we all basically said, former 5-star prospect, one of the more coveted prospects to ever commit to A&M, was just kind of buried on the depth chart his first 2 seasons. But this is a big year for him.
It was huge.
Was the highest rated defensive player from the Notre Dame game. Was excellent against the run. Gave some pass rush. Had a tackle. He just shedded.
He just went by. It wasn't even like he was there.
God. I'm like, there's the DJ Hicks we were looking. I mean, immediately I was like, there he is. There's that kid we've been hoping to see. And I just think that doing that on the road, again, doing that against lesser competition, especially Utah State, we go back to Cassius Howell getting the 3 consecutive sacks. Again, 3 consecutive sacks is nothing to bat an eye at, but you are going against a little lesser talent at left tackle compared to the guys that they develop at Notre Dame. So that's just fact, right? It's a little harder to do that. But no, the fact that he did that in this game, and him and Albert Regis were just dominating inside, especially in the second half when Elko's adjustments came through. And we're going to see a lot more of that. I think what Elko was mad about was just the blown coverages. Obviously, first of all, Des Ricks had another fantastic game. He's quickly
let's give our flowers to Des Ricks on this. I mean, he's been targeted, I think, a total of 12 times and only allowed 2 catches the entire season so far. And I think 2 of them were in this game.
Yeah. These guys are living up to the preseason hype, which is just, you don't see it all the time like that, especially Hicks and Ricks. There goes, that rhymes. But again, the fact that he's playing so well and Will Lee, who we all expect to have a great season, is struggling a bit. I mean, it just happens, right? You get targeted a little bit more. If they're not going to target Ricks, they're going to target the other guy on the outside. But look, he made some great plays. He made a great play at the goal line to swat that ball away in man coverage, which prevented a touchdown. He prevented a score or 2, and so he stepped up when he had to, and that's what you want to see. If you're going to have a track race type of game like you did, look, you're going to have to outscore them. Like that's what I'm taking away from this game mainly. And, I had a couple days to kind of look into it, and I really wasn't thinking about the defense much. I really wasn't. I wasn't like, oh, man, they won the game, but, they allowed it. These games happen all the time. And so what are we saying about Miami, right? Miami's a really good team. I think you and I can both agree on that.
I definitely do.
They look fantastic. Carson Beck looks fantastic. Ruben Bain looks like a future top 5 pick. They only won by, 3 points at home against Notre Dame? And Notre Dame scored 21 points. And then 2 weeks later, Notre Dame has all this rest. Some of the players are getting beat up during the game, which was kind of like, wow, you had 2 weeks of rest, but it doesn't really matter. Get beat up in football. But at the same time, where was the defense? Is it A&M is just that good offensively, or did Notre Dame just have a let? We don't know. I think A&M is just that good offensively right now. And I think they kind of told the rest of the country, we're coming. This is real. Like all you people who are saying, oh, UTSA, Utah State. No, it's for real. I mean, I watched a ton of football. I've seen elite prospects. We go back to the A&M's 22 class of Chris Marshall and Evan Stewart. Didn't pan out with the program. Evan Stewart had, he had a pretty good season with them. But again, it just didn't pan out like that. Mainly that was Jimbo Fisher's offense. But when you have a good offensive scheme, when you have a guy who's young, who's innovative in Colin Klein, and you get him these type of weapons, again, this is what you're going to get. And if you have a quarterback who, I was pounding the table for Marcel Reed all offseason. I just felt it in my bones that this was going to be a great season for him. So far, nearly 900 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, 1 pick, which was a mistake. It was a one-on-one throw. I mean, if you're going to throw interceptions, those are ones I can deal with, right? Those are the type of interceptions I can deal with.
I think when you throw it to pretty much Notre Dame's best defensive player in Leonard Moore, that's maybe my opinion, but I think it's a popular one. I think Leonard Moore has proved that he's a very, very good corner in college football. I bet you get nearly 400 total yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4th down game winner. He's getting the national media kind of a little bit more in tune with what he's been putting down so far, and it's only going to get better from here. I mean, in this game, you can talk about the completion percentage all you want, but he was calm, he was clutch, and he pretty much answered everything that Notre Dame
made the plays. Yeah. He made the plays. That is it. I don't care. I didn't even spend time writing about it, like saying, well, he was inaccurate. It didn't matter because they scored 41 points. And if I look back, the plays I remember are not look, he missed a go ball from the goal line to Casey Concepcion. So I'm going to just ask you, if you're a quarterback playing in South Bend, playing in the historic Notre Dame Stadium, you're backed up in your own goal line, and yes, you have it open Casey Concepcion. You have to hit him right in the hands from your goal line. You're a little hyped up. I get it. Sometimes they just get away from you. That happens. It was like the one in the opener where it just kind of got away from him. He was excited. He plays like a kid, which you're supposed to. He plays like amped up, like ready to prove, right? It's not all curled up in a ball, going like tight, tight and scared, right? Like that meme of the quarterback, like his fingers are shaking, like they always use all the time, like scared. Yeah. Again, Marcel Reed is everything opposite of that. He's the antithesis of that. So he's going to miss on a couple of those. I get that it would have put him ahead, and maybe they could have finished that game out a little earlier than having to score in the last possession. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. He's going to hit those sooner or later. This is the 3rd game of the season. This is his – I don't even know. You got to tell me, which start is this for him? Because I got to look back.
This is what, the 10th total?
Probably 10th overall start. Again,
actually, it might be the 11th. It might be
probably, the 11th. Okay. And he threw for 360 yards, which is a career high in passing for him. 2 scores, like we said, 1 interception that was not costly for them. And he was both 2 receivers were averaging 20-plus yards per catch. So he did his job. And this is the whole point. This is what their offense and Mike Elko have been talking about it all offseason. We need more explosive plays. It's either going to come on the ground or through the air, most likely through the air because of our wide receiver additions. And he was 100% right. This is what we're seeing.
Absolutely.
The rushing attack it's going to catch up. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Le'Veon Moss had 80 yards, I think, of this game and 3 touchdowns.
81 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think the main thing that when I think of Le'Veon Moss in that game was that critical 3rd down conversion he had. And it just kind of kept him in the game.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of play you need from that guy. I mean, you're just going to ramp him up throughout the entire season, and you're going to go from there, because if he's at 100%, I mean, this offense just becomes even harder to defend.
Yeah, it's just funny to me because I think they still had, I'd have to look back. It was over 120, 130 yards rushing. Look, that's pretty good on the road against a defense that is preparing that you're going to try to run the ball, because Klein is always going to try to run the ball. If he can establish the run first, like every team in America, including the NFL, you want to establish a run if you can. Makes your offensive game plan much easier. You're going to do that. Like, they try to do that, but they knew after a while that, look, we're going to get Le'Veon Moss averaging about 4+ yards per carry. That's it. But we can live with that because our passing game is going to expose you because we get too much speed out there, and Craver showed that early. So this is the thing about matchups now. it was very easy defensively to prepare for A&M last year. And I get a lot of people are saying, well, they were leading the SEC in offense. Well, yeah, when Le'Veon Moss was healthy and they had that perfect game plan, he was just tearing defenses up. When he was lost, they were lost. They didn't have enough. They were predictable. And then that's why they went 1-4 to the end of the season. Barring any health, knock on wood, issues going forward. But again, like I said, this bye week comes at a perfect time. A couple guys are beat up, including Marcel Reed. I think just needs a couple weeks off. He's taking a couple big hits. But again, it's just sets everything up perfectly for you because you can't really prepare for this offense that much. What are you going to do? Shut down both wide? You're not. And then Terry Bussey's going to have a big game. Like they have so many weapons. We haven't even talked about Ashton Bethel-Rome yet, who could easily break out if they do play against a defense that has a perfect plan to bracket Craver and try to cover Casey Concepcion. I just don't see it happening. I think these guys are too quick. They're too fast. It's just not going to happen. So if your run game does start to really gain steam, which it could, because we all do know that with offensive linemen, it's easier to run block than it is to pass block. They've been excellent in pass protection so far this season. So you really don't think they're going to get better throughout the season. I personally think that we're going to see a better run game going into the Auburn game.
Yeah, 100% you're going to see a better run game. And speaking of Terry Bussey, moment of silence for a call back kick return touchdown. Just one moment of silence.
I knew that was going to happen. You know what's funny is so my dad, I didn't go to the game, obviously, as I was I had a long week and I didn't want to catch a flight. But so I was watching my mom, and it was kind of funny. My dad's out of town, and she was getting really into it. And when that happened, she was basically like, "Oh, I knew they'd do that." She's like, "I knew they'd call that back." I was like, "Why do you say that?" I was like, "Oh, and it was this whole like little conspiracy thing about we can't let them win that way," which is always funny to me because you've seen that in the past where it's like, you don't want to say the refs are doing that, but it's like, no, you can't do it that easily. You're going to have to drive the field.
They're going to have to go all the way down to do it.
But I will say what was funny is that even though it got called back, it did prove to me we're going to see one of those returns successful pretty soon.
I think so.
He's so electric.
That gives you a very big vote of confidence going forward at why they have him back on those kick returns, because he had, as I have said it before, is if Terry Bussey sees open field, it is his.
Yeah.
That I mean, who could have predicted it could have come back, right? Who could have predicted that? But
yeah. And it's, and I think it was kind of funny that Theo Melodostrom, he's still learning the block. I had somebody in my, with one of my other writing teams was like, how did that guy, how did he mess up? Like, he's from Sweden. Like, it's going to take time. Like, he's not perfect at blocking. Like, blocking is very hard, especially in special teams. That's why they have specific guys doing that. And it's like, look, mistakes happen. It didn't kill them. They won the game. Doesn't matter. But it was a good showing from, again, one of the more electric guys on this team. Like I said, we've only seen the start from Terry Bussey. I think he's going to be a bigger part of this offense moving forward. It's just in that game, I think the game plan was we got to get our two best players every opportunity they can, which Marcel Reed did throughout the night. I mean, big play after big play down the field.